Thanks for your patience. Here is Susan Constantine. How to spot a liar in 7 seconds. That's one of her things, and a whole lot more. Cross your fingers. Let's hope this works. Susan, can we just start off with you kind of giving me your background?
Sure. I'm a body language expert and I'm also a trial consultant. So I've been a trial consultant for over 20 years, and I have covered cases, and clients of mine include Jeffrey Epstein, one of the assault victims, and the Michael Jackson case are some of the few.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what exactly do you do when you're hired to come into a trial to consult?
Okay, so consulting with a trial can be from a lot of different areas. So I can either do focus groups, or we do whisper groups where we do social mining. So we want to know what the public opinion might be, so that we're doing all this pre-trial intelligence before the trial, so that when attorneys go in and they've already tested their arguments, we have a good idea how the jury, because we do several of them to determine, what they're actually thinking is. And then also, how can we then change the narrative so that maybe we can change public opinion? That's one of the pieces of it. The other part of it is witness preparation. So getting the client ready, for her case, his or her case. For in one of the cases, like the Jeffrey Epstein case, since it was a sexual assault case, and I had to work with her, I think 5 different times to meet with her and the team and watch her demeanor, see how she's presenting, and then also work with her and creating this persona of what she actually experienced, because a lot of times these victims don't feel like victims. They
Right.
feel like well, I take that back. They don't necessarily feel like they're victims. They don't realize that they've been victimized.
Mm,
So they take a lot of responsibility. So and then another case is like with the Michael Jackson case and other cases. I mean, it's not every day I get a case that comes through my desk. It's either a innocence project, or someone's got a family member who is in jail or in prison. They need help. Analyzing video, determining whether the person is being truthful or not. The person that might have been a suspect, but they haven't really charged the person. Lots of missing person cases.
mm.
So there's a lot cold cases that are out there. And of course, being out there in the media, people hear and see what I do, and then I get calls and I help them. I help the attorneys to understand and to reveal to them areas and maybe a statement, or whether it's in a voice stress analysis, whether it's a 911 call, if they're being deceptive or not. And
Right.
if they
Wow.
are, where are they deceptive? And then how can the attorneys use that to impeach a witness?
Right. Okay, so you have a case like this one, which is very high profile here in Idaho and nationwide. It's been on Dateline, Court TV, all over the place. One would think that you have a man accused of murdering these children and his wife, and the kids are buried in the backyard, and the wife dies in the house, and his new wife was found guilty last year and sentenced to 3 life sentences. One might think, well, this is a slam dunk case. Why do you even need to worry about any of this stuff? So how do you respond to that? Because it's really not that simple.
It's due process. You have to go through it. This is his opportunity as a resident of the United States, has the right to a fair trial. So even though everything looks like it's stacked against him, look at the Casey Anthony case. I'm right here in Orlando. I reported on that case from the very beginning. I was in the courtroom every day. I was on the set with Court TV when they came up with a verdict of not guilty. All of us were stunned. So there
Mm,
are times where there could be something that twists and turns in a trial. You have no idea what could happen.
right.
Attorney misconduct. There could be tainting evidence. It could literally, that could be anything. And the both sides are going to be like in a boxing match to win. That's what it's going to be like. So
Right.
they're going to pull out every gun that they can and point it at the opposite side, because the whole point is that what a win for him is no death penalty. If he gets life in prison, he's lucky, right? Because the death penalty is on the table. So there's that for an attorney, and especially with the defense, if they can save their client from death, they feel like they've got a win, a huge win.
Right. So we spent all of last week trying to get that jury pool up to 50 and it even went a little over just for safety. And then it was whittled down today to the 18, 12 jurors, 6 alternates. Are the defense looking for specific characteristics in these jurors versus the prosecutors? Because there were a lot of moms with young kids that some made it through, some didn't. There were a lot of single guys. I mean, what kind of things in your guess are these different sides looking for?
Okay, well, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. So you're looking at a researcher here. So I don't just walk in there and just go deselect a jury. There's a lot of work that needs to go in it to determine what jurors you should be selecting, right? So there, in every jurisdiction, every state is different, every circumstance is different. So in this case, yes, there's young children. Children would identify, or parents would identify with those that are having young children. Certainly, what the defense would want them off, state would want them on. Okay, so just keep in mind everything that the defense wants, the state doesn't want. So it's kind of that woven picture. The other thing is you look at demographics, right? Their age, ethnicity, occupation, level of education, if they've served on a jury before, how many children they have, what their spouse's occupation is. All of this stuff plays into whether they tend to be more egalitarian, which is more pro-defense, or more pro-prosecution, which is more authoritarian. In this case, the state are looking for high authoritarians. Also, I think that what we're looking for is there's just so much evidence here. Those jurors are going to be looking for a lot of evidence, especially today with true crime being so popular, and especially if there are a lot of women that are selected on there. Like 35% of all women in the middle-aged household are all true crimers.
Hmm.
So that, something to think about. True crime magazines, true crime books. Are they watching Nancy Grace? Are they watching Court TV? Are they watching your show?
Yeah,
This is the things that they're going to want to whittle down.
right,
On top of that, we look at, they're well, here we've got a big religious community, right? We've got Mormons, and many Mormons don't have the same philosophy of his group, because that's really more of the cult religion, right? So
right,
you've got some Mormon followers, right, that are appalled with the fact that they have twisted their truth and then created a different narrative, right? Now we've got people that are more conspiracy theorists, right? Because this has a lot of twists and turns, and the aliens and portals and all this other kind of stuff. Does the defense want some people that are just dumb as a rock? You know, and those kind of things. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, shoot, we had an eclipse today. Almost anything could have happened, and
right,
anything could have happened. We were waiting for the locusts to start to envelop our.
right.
Seriously. I also think that for the defense, they are looking for people that, of course, everyone's looking for unbiased people, but defense are looking for those types of people that are thinking, what if, maybe, well, I'm not sure, you have to convince me, right? So it's not for the defense to prove anything, it's for the state to prove their case. So that's where they need to come in with tying all these pieces together, right? I mean, what is the chances of all these people dying, and the two people that are now, one of them's already been convicted, the other one is now here being tried, for the mere reason that he's here will give those jurors a feeling that he had to have done something wrong, otherwise he wouldn't be sitting in the courtroom.
Yeah. Wow. Well, what a fascinating profession. I'm sure you've seen so much. And you mentioned the Casey Anthony was a shocker, that verdict. Have you had others along the way that you're totally just kind of blown away at what the jury comes back with?
I wasn't totally blown away, but I was surprised. I was there at the George Zimmerman case. Now that was another one here,
Mhm.
right in my own backyard. I attended that, and a lot of us thought that he was going to be guilty too, right? We really did, just because of all of the racial tension. It was like you almost had to convict him.
Mhm.
So the fact that he was found not guilty didn't mean he was innocent. That what was concerning, and especially being in that courtroom, we were concerned about rioting. And that was a huge factor. In fact, there was an entire row inside the courtroom that were pastors from African American pastors and white pastors and Hispanic pastors, all joining together in a row to say we're united. In order to be, they wanted to be united so they would de-escalate any sort of rioting, because they were saying we want this to be the peacemakers, right? So
Mm.
I know that was a really interesting case as to sit all the way through. I'm actually writing about this case in my book. So you're going to have to find out a little bit more what I saw inside that courtroom. You're going to have to wait and see.
When's the book coming out?
In January,
Does that have a title?
How to Spot a Liar in 7 Seconds or Less.
Okay, and I'm going to throw out a pitch here because you've
Okay.
been at CrimeCon. Are you going to
Yeah.
be there at end of May?
Yeah, and we're doing a really cool, myself and Daniel Singer, who selected the jury for the Casey Anthony trial, which regrets it, but she will be there. She's my co-partner. She's done multiple high profile cases, a Slender Man, and you just gotta be there to see it. So her and I are doing the first crime court. So we are setting the scene for future crime cons and doing crime con court, where we're doing a focus group. We're explaining everybody the ins and outs, the jury selection 101, what happens behind the scenes. And then we're setting the stage for doing interactive presentations in the future with CrimeCon.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
My wife really was upset that we missed your How to Spot a Liar in 7 Seconds. Was it a year or
Oh,
two ago? We were in another thing, and so we'll see you this year, that's for sure.
well, you'll like it just because this is not just how to spot a liar, but I'm taking a lot of the true crime stories that I've worked on or I sat in the court with or I've analyzed in my own personal story of being a witness in a murder case when I was age 15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So watch out for the book, everybody. You can see that. And then, of course, at CrimeCon, you can go and see Susan. Susan, do you have a website? Are you on the social
Yes.
medias?
It's www.susanconstantine.com. And my email is susan@susanconstantine.com.